guys, it's Saria. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video I'm really excited about is just how to make some super simple flat black Mickey ears, but wait for it, the bow is interchangeable. That's right. You can make as many bows as you want and swap them out whenever you want. So let's jump into this tutorial. Okay, so starting off, I'm using this black kind of velvety fabric. It's not really velvet, it's like a crushed velvet. I don't know. It's velvety. I'm using my ear cutting template. I do have this linked in the description box below. And I'm going to trace 4 of these onto the fabric. A silver Sharpie works great for this. And then go ahead and cut those out. And then for the inside of the ear, this time around, I'm going to use these foam circles. I got these off Amazon in a 12 pack. I will have them linked in the description box below. And I'm going to use my foam and batting template and just cut off the bottom to give it kind of a curved edge so that it better fits onto the headband when I glue it down. These ears are going to be flat and not plush, and I wanted to try them a different way. These are by far the most lightweight ears that I've ever done, so if you get headaches easily, these will be great. And then I just used an X-Acto knife to cut off the bottom of the foam. By the way, Dollar Tree does have kind of sphere foam or circular foam, but it's a little bit thicker than this, and I like these a lot more. Okay, so next we're going to take the fabric and we're going to start gluing it down. So this is a little bit tricky. I would suggest taking your time and going very slowly just to make sure you kind of get used to it because it's a different method. So I'm applying a little bit of hot glue and then tapping down the center first and then working my way down one side. I did all the glue at once. I would actually suggest working segment by segment just to make sure that you're not getting any weird bubbles or anything in your fabric on the front. And you do want to pull it very taut. Because again, we're trying to avoid bubbles and we will not be stuffing these ears. So for this first one, you're going to have fabric kind of reaching over the edge a little bit, and we're just going to go in and trim that up once it's all glued down. I would suggest using fabric scissors for this because you'll be more likely to be able to get it snipped off cleanly and not nick up your styrofoam circle in the process. So now we're going to put on the backing. And we're going to do the exact same method, but you do need to be quite precise with this, so I am going to slow it down for you guys. I'm going to start by putting a little bit of hot glue just at the top center and then pressing down my fabric into the center of the top of the ear. I hope that's making sense, but you want to create kind of a seam that's centered on that top flat part of the ear because our trim is going to perfectly cover that up. And if you've got it kind of a little bit toward the front and the back and it's kind of making a zigzag, it will be harder to conceal that later on. So I'm just kind of taking my time and pulling the fabric and making sure that it's lining up nicely and just working section by section. It's always better to just work a little bit at a time because the hot glue will dry, and once it's dry it does kind of leave a mark on your fabric even if you pull it off. So now that we've got that all glued down, I'm just going to go into the bottom and I'm going to trim up the bottom portion of the fabric. Sorry, it took me a minute to figure out what I was trying to say. Mine was a little bit long to glue it down, so I'm just going to trim it up a little bit and then glue down one side and glue down the other side. You could always stuff these ears if you are wanting fluffy ears, but I wanted to try a new method for flat ears, so I will not be stuffing mine. So next I'm going to go in and add my trim. I'm using my pom-pom trim in black. I get this from Joanns. I love this trim. It just looks so cute and it matches everything so well. I have it in like a million colors. And I'm just going to work a little bit at a time, being careful to keep my line of hot glue very centered on the ear and then just tapping down my trim. You don't want to use too much glue because if it oozes out, it is not the prettiest look. So make sure that you're just doing a little bit at a time to avoid that. And then when you tap down the trim, do try to not stick your finger in the glue because it will kind of pull it out and just make it look kind of yucky. So now I'm using my ear spacing template again. This is in the description box below, and this is just how I make sure to get a good spacing on my ears and that they're not crooked on the headband, which is something I hate. So I'm just using that silver Sharpie to kind of dot where the ears need to be placed. I'm going to apply a little bit of hot glue to the bottom. Don't use too much for this because again, you're not going to want it to ooze out of the bottom. And then I'm just going to really firmly press it down onto my ear. This is a very soft foam, so when I say firmly, I do mean firmly, but also be careful because you don't want to break your foam ear. It's kind of a delicate balance. And then I'm just going to line it up for my second ear, make a little mark, and do the exact same process on the other side. And then I do allow the glue to fully dry, just waiting a couple of minutes. Okay, so these are the magnets that I'm going to be using to make my bow interchangeable. I will have these linked in the description box below, but they are super, super strong magnets, and I would suggest using these over like really not strong magnets because you don't want your bow to just randomly fall off when you're walking through the park or anything. And next I am going to go ahead and add the magnet onto the headband. So I'm using E6000 because I want to make sure this magnet is very secure, and then a little dot of hot glue. And I'm just going to place it down into the center. By the way, the pack I bought does have a bunch of different sizes. I am using the smallest one, but I would suggest using one of the larger ones for the headband, and then the smaller ones you could reserve for the bows. And then to cover up the magnet so that you don't see it, I just pulled out some black ribbon that I had on hand, and I am just gluing that around where the magnet is. You could also take a really cute ribbon and wrap it all the way around the headband before placing your ears down, and then that would conceal it as well. For the bow, I cut a rectangle of fabric that was 7 inches by 5 inches, and I've done this method before, but just in case you haven't seen it, I'm going to use my hot glue gun to hem the edges. So I'm just going to lay down a thin line of hot glue on the edge and then fold over the edge. If this is your first time doing it, I would definitely do this in segments because the hot glue does dry pretty quickly and you don't want to be rushing trying to fold over the fabric. But you're going to do this on all 4 sides. And then once you have hemmed all of your edges, you're going to put a dot of hot glue on the corners of the top half, and then you're going to fold it into the middle of the bow and just tap down those 2 dots of hot glue. And then you're going to repeat this on the other side, adding 2 dots of hot glue to the corners, and then folding it into the middle as well. A little note that I have learned is make sure you cut your fabric where whatever image you are wanting to see on the bow is on the outer edge. For example, I would have really loved to have the Mickey and Minnie kissing on the edge of the bow. That way I could have really seen it once I pinched the bow in the middle. But unfortunately, I was not paying attention. I just cut a square of fabric. It is still cute because I have this little saying on the side of it, but I would have liked to see a little more of Mickey and Minnie. But to create your bow shape, you're just going to pinch in the center and then add a little bit of hot glue, just a couple dots where those folds that you've created are. And as you let that dry, do make sure that it's totally dry before you add this middle strip on, but I just cut a thin strip and I'm going to wrap it around the center. However, I would actually suggest putting the magnet on first, then doing this part. I'm actually going to go back and just add another layer into the center to cover up the magnet, but I just wanted to show you guys in the order I actually filmed it. So I did add this middle strip originally, but you don't need to do that just yet. So now for the magnet, I'm just going to add a little dot of E6000, and I'm going to put my magnet in place and allow it to dry. And then again, to cover this up, I cut another strip of fabric. I'm adding a little dot of hot glue, and then I'm not putting the glue down on the magnet, I put it just behind it. I'm going to wrap this strip around and then glue down my edge. And that's pretty much it, guys. Now you have a bow that can easily attach and detach. And then just to show you guys the contrast, I also really quickly made myself a little felt bow and put a magnet on the inside of this one as well, just to show you guys you can snap one off and then put the next one right on. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. It was so simple and easy, and I just thought it was really great that I figured out a new way to make flat ears, and then this bow that can be changed to any bow you want. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.